And one more thing is that today it is for 2017 to 21 batch. So all final year students, it is mandatory that you have to come to the campus and take the vaccine. Okay. Other academic process, it will be not possible. Okay. This is one instruction which I wanted to give. So last session we had a discussion on this uplink control information on the physical uplink shared channel. So earlier we had a discussion on the control channel. Now we started with the shared channel. That is what we were highlighting in this slide. Right. So first discussion was on only with respect to this unknown caller. This value. Now we have to understand the shared channel. Okay. So this is what we were trying to highlight in this. So uplink control information for your control channel, as well as next we started with this shared channel. So again you have to understand the coding of the rank matrix, coding of the HARQ acknowledgement. So we have discussed, because we will observe that when you are uploading your data onto the server, so whether you require an acknowledgement or what is the rank or which rank you are going to follow, how many bits you are going to transmit, right? What is the control indicator or the information, or a parity matrix indicator, right? So what values it should be present. So for the control information it was 20 NCQU, but for the shared value it is of 32-bit length, right? So which you can observe in this slide. So controlling to this part, after channel encoding, the CQ encoding scheme is multiplexed with upper link shared channel data, the output of which is interleaved with the rank array, rank indicator and HARQ acknowledgement encoded sequence as shown in figure below. So we have a data and control multiplexing for which you are adding header and trailer, for which rank indicator encoded data and HARQ encoded sequence which is going to be added. And this we call it as a channel interleaver, and which is used for your transmission purpose. Right. So first you are making everything ready and then you are transmitting. For example, for your examination form also, what we do is that you have to collect the node use certificate, right? So node use certificate from all the subjects, and they have to put initial and everything it is done. Then you have to go to your class teacher, then he will put the signature, then HOD signature, then hall ticket will be issued. Means what? You are adding each of the bits. So same procedure we are doing for these data, right? For the data, because data is the main control part, means information that should be reached to the destination. That is what we are trying to highlight in this section. Okay, so for this case, the channel coding for CQI, RI and HRK information is performed in the same manner as if the USCI is transmitted with the ULCS data. The coded sequence are interleaved. Right. So that is why we have all this, because we wanted to connect to the link, right? We need to identify, we need to encode the data properly, and this should be at a faster rate. That is the main part what we have to observe. Okay. So modulation scheme. So usually the modulation scheme, what we have discussed in the digital communication or principle of communication system. So we have different methods, right? We have amplitude modulation, phase shift modulation, right? Phase modulation or frequency modulation. And in this also there are some particular method, right? Again that same method, how many bits, how many port value, how it is going to be selected. So those observation only we are trying to understand here, right? So previous class we had this different port value 1, 1A, 1B, because you have observed these formats earlier, right? And for these things we have different phase shift key, right? Like a quadrature phase shift keying, like a border bandwidth phase shift keying, right? And these values mbit we have to specify in the frame format, right? So yesterday, previous session also, we had discussion on this modulation scheme, right? Then finally, it was with respect to the resource mapping. So this is a structure which will be there because this resource mapping we have observed. So NPRB value, which is the bit value which we are going to select, right? Like port value 0, port value 1, port value 2, port value 3, right? So that is what we do in when you are selecting for the antenna values also. So antenna when you take, so now nobody will go to the physical device and he is going to rotate the things and he is going to select, right? So everything you will be getting it as a GUI. So you have to open that GUI, you will be having n number of antennas will be present. So how many antennas you are going to select, right? Which port value you need to identify, right? And select that one, and here in this M bits value you are going to specify so that it is going to be transmitted. That is why when you go for the radio channels and all those things, or if you go for super power transmitter, right, we have divided into multiple regions, right, like north region, like south region, right, west region, east region, central northern, right, central southern, and we have because we follow these, we observe these things in our real time, right? You take railway station example only, right? All your processing, it is controlled by the central government, not from the state government. So central government, he will tell that how many kilometers, or what is the junction, what is the pipe, right? So in that railway station also you will be having the map, so which train is moving, what location, and what is the coverage area, how much they are going to provide. So same way in the communication process also, which bit is active, which bit, because it is a hardware for which we have to give the instruction, right? So how you are going to give that, what is the subframe, because you see the classification also. So this is a resource block, these are the values, these are the port numbers, so you can see even number, odd number slot, and this we call it as a one subframe, right? And this frame structure only was present in our CCN concept also, right? You are having at the physical layer raw bit, then you are making it to a frame, right? So frames you are going to add a header and a trailer, and then you are going to make it as a packet, and that packet will be transmitted, right? So generally we call it as a radiation pattern which is used for transmitting from your device to the hub or the mainframe server, where all this data will be decoded and it will be used for the transmission of the part, right? So then again we in this resource mapping, there should be some reference signal, right? How much power you should be able to transmit. So super heterodyne receiver also, you have a carrier frequency of 455 gigahertz, right, which I have done in the experiment also for AM modulation. So you are generating a carrier wave which is of 455 megahertz, that has been generated by the device itself from the AM modulation also. So here also for the demodulation reference signal transmitted on the uplink resource assigned to a UE or of current demodulation of the data. Sounding reference signal, these are the wideband reference signal for the node. They are not associated with the physical channel or uplink channel of the control and the same. Reference channel are with respect to the hardware component, it is not with respect to the uploading. See, I am uploading the content, right? But I am not bothered about the specification of the server. I am bothered about the bypass, how much I can transmit or how much I can send. That is the part which I can do, right? So that is what we can observe in this referencing signal also. Unlike downlink, reference signal in uplink cannot be transmitted at the same time as user data. Instead, the uplink reference signal are time division multiplex with the uplink data on the same subcarrier. In this way, the power level of the reference signal can be different from that of the data symbol as they are transmitted over different SCFDMA symbols. So the peak to average power ratio is minimized over each SCFDMA signal. So here also you should give the range value. Okay. So in the information theory coding, we have this generating the rate, which we call it as a entropy. Now that entropy, it is of a fractional part, 1.5, because Huffman coding also we were getting 1.5, but 1.5 bit, 1.8 bit we cannot take. So you can go either with a 1 bit or you can go with the maximum value, which is a 2 bit. If 1.5, 1.6 if it is there, so usually we will select 2 bits for transmission of the data, because we will be having minimized number noise, you can be minimized. That is the task which you can be identified here, right? So to have that reason only, we are having these values, right? So if the values, if it is more than 2, so what? Because it is with respect to the port value. So port value, if it is only 2, because we will identify number of symbols which are going to transmit. If there are only 2 symbols, so 2 messages are there, so 2 symbols are sufficient, like 0 and 1. If there are more than 2 symbols, so we will go for 2 power 1. So sorry, 2 power 2 combination, we will get 4 combinations. If still more, 2 power 3. If still more, 2 power 4. It depends on how many symbols. Now if I take alphabets, it will be of 2 power 4, because you will be having 2 power 4 32 combination. So alphabets is of 26. So extra 4 bits will be there for me to utilize. So that range, what should be the value for the antenna selection and for the referencing value is given with this bound value. So 1 less than or equal to m less than or equal to maximum uplink value. Okay, and this value, if it is greater than this value, so what should be selected is been highlighted in this slide. Okay, so multiple reference signal can be created by different shift of the same base sequence, as the Zadok sequence has the property that cyclic shift version of the same sequence are orthogonal to each other. Generating reference signal in such a manner can reduce intercell interference for the reference signal interfacer. The orthogonality of reference signal within the same cell is obtained via the FDM. So reference signal in UE are always UE specific, means user enable evolved specific. See, what finally the conclusion here is trying to tell is that, so we have some data, right, which is my information, and this information should be shared into the channel, and when I am sharing, that shared information should reach to a particular set of people, and it should only be identified those by those people, right? So in this Google form also I will get an option of, because when I was creating a mail with the Gmail, so it will not ask for any particular domain kind of a people should enter. Okay, now I am mostly using for all, because Gmail, what is the size limit? It is of 15 GB. Now if I use for college purpose documenting and everything, so my that 15 GB, because you are all submitting the internship report. Okay, so everyone is submitting 10 MB of data, so 100 people are submitting, so 15 GB of it will be over. So what I have done, I created that Google form with the help of college mail ID. Okay, now college mail ID, it is with respect to @ of svcegngg.edu.in. Now that portal having a cloud space of unlimited data. So the college is paying the amount for those, because I am taking this software and software provider is giving unlimited data for me. So how many Google form I wanted to create, I will have no issues, because there won't be any limitation. Because previously one of the students was saying, sir, my size is more than 10 MB, 10 MB I am not able to upload my content. Okay, that is the thing which is was telling. So what I did, I increased from 10 MB to 100 MB, so that now you are able to do. Why these values are required? Because it will identify the content. Okay, and it should be reduced. Now why I am telling this particular, because when I created my Google form using the college ID, so by default it will tell that whether you are allowing only your company, which is your SVC company people should submit this mail. So if I give that option, so in from your personal mail ID, you are not able to upload any document. Then what I have what changes I have done is that I am allowing for everyone to contribute the data. Right? Then what happens? Now my data, it is been shared at the Gmail, which is the public portal. So anyone with a Gmail will be able to upload the data. Now if I restrict with respect to only SVC part, so who is having SVC part, they are able to upload the content, other people it is not. Means I am telling that how secure they are making the content. Okay, so that it should not be misused by other people. Right? Now that is the example which is there in this Teams also. Now Google Meet, I was doing a classes, I was using WebEx, so every mail ID it was allowing. So without my knowledge, some of the other people were joining and they were disturbing. Now you observe, it is mandatory that only from my organization they should join. So it is not easy to create login ID with the company profile. Right? So they are not able to join. So there is a secure one. So there is no disturbance. That is the biggest advantage which we can find. Right? These are few examples of the shared channel and the control channel of this part. Right? That is what we are learning. But in these slides, it is only with respect to the technicality things. Right? Sir, you are telling all this information, but who is going to access this one? Who is going to prepare this one, or how is going to make? So that all things will be taken care by the engineers who is going to do at the back end. So neither I am doing, neither you are doing. We are just a user. So at the user requirement, we are the person here. So we have only this part. Right? So user able. So I will be getting a link. I have to enter the data. Then I have to submit. So who has created and all those things? It is the organizer who is going to do that. Right? So here also when I want to upload the things, everything he will take care. Only thing is that I have to upload my data into that so that it will be not lost. Okay, that is the thing which you can observe here. So reference signal, there is a common part. So, sir, you may be asking, sir, how to remember all these information? Okay, so as generally which I have discussed, it is only with respect to the what values it will be present, what is the code prefix, what is the uplink channel, which are the types, what is reference signal, and how that reference signal you are going to use in the uplink link. So that information if you tell, that is more than perfect, right? No need of in detail of how you are going to join this, right? So that is what you can find here. See here, normal cyclic prefix code, extended cyclic prefix code. So for what format you are using, so these are the prefix code bits you can set it. So what values you are going to set, that is randomly it is going to generate, right? So I will give a data of 0, 0, 1, right? So these are 3 bits. Okay, now for this bit you are going to add a code prefix. Now code prefix you are going to use a formula and you will calculate how many code bits you want to have. So usually if I take 4 bits, so 8 comma 4 is a code word, right? So 8 comma 4 you can do it, right? Or you can write 7 comma 4, right? 7 comma 4 you can have. So for all these things I will just give one example so that it will be very clear for you what I am trying to highlight in these things. Okay, so I'll just take one example here. Okay, there is no white space. But so what I will be doing is that I am having some values. This is the value. Okay, so what is this coded data? Right, so I will be having a message, right? So this is my message, suppose say R, and this is the encoded data. Right, this is the encoded data. Now what happens? Code prefix, we should add it. Right, so your data will be 0, 0, 1, 0. So here you observe the length is 4, right, and this length is your coded bit data after adding a cyclic prefix, right. So cyclic prefix, suppose say 3, so 3 plus 4, so total it will be 7, right. Now obviously I will be knowing here there are 3 bits. Okay, so 3 bits if it is there, so I am going to get 2 power 3, which is nothing but 8 combination. Okay, and my combination will be from 3 zeros to 3 ones. Okay, now if I can add here, if I am going in the ascending order, the code words will be like this, which I am going to transmit, right, which I have to transmit, right. So these example only I am just trying to highlight. Okay, now you may be asking, sir, how you have choose only 0, 0, 0, why it can't be 1, 1, 1? Okay, now to understand this concept, what we have to do is that we should analyze the data, what application it is there, how we are transmitting the data, which port value you are going to use for the transmission, and how we are going to select. But generally the selection will be in the ascending order only. If there are no condition, then we have to select in this order so that we are going to transmit. Right? The how we are generating all these values, that is with respect to the device. So he will take care of those things. We are not responsible for generating these path. Okay. So that is what I was giving that Cowin app. So Cowin app now, yesterday and day before yesterday I was sending in the class teacher was sending a message. So you need to delete if you have already registered. So why it is giving that one? Why, for what purpose? Why it is not taking that enable thing? Right. So these are the question marks which will have in our mind. Right. So why is that structure? Why they have defined in that way? Right. So it is just very simple that, right. So now all the because one center will be full, another center it will be not having. Now you may be asking, sir, earlier we had a reference, so I went to that particular thing, then what I have done and what you people will be doing. So first what I did is that I registered for the Cowin app. Okay, so I have entered my mobile number, I have entered my Aadhaar card in this Cowin app, so it generated me the password. So last 4 digit will be your password. So that is the structure which they have built that app. Okay, so I have to log in into that one. I need to check whether vacant. If it is there, then I will register to that slot and I have to tick. So this is a normal tendency which we have to do. Now what happened? Now the people, they said that I am having some reference. So my friend is working in some medical hospital. So he got me a reference. So when I go to that hospital also, so he will tell us that you delete that whatever you have generated, because I am going some other way to take the vaccination. So what happens? I have to delete that thing, information. So when I go to that hospital, he will tell, as he will take my mobile number, he will take my other number, and he will enter in that user portal which is been defined for the provider. Right? So there are two portals to verify. One is for the government hospital people. They will log in and they will allocate, because you observe when I take that Cowin certificate also, your other number it will display, your name it will display. When you have taken the vaccination, the time and date it will display, and it also will display who is the person who has given you the vaccination. Okay, that name also it has been displayed. Now your name, your Aadhaar card, it has been taken from your information, which is from your login portal, right? And the person who has taken, the person who has registered all information, they have taken from the hospital login information which is there, and these two they are combining and they are putting in the certificate. Okay, so your entries you have to give, their entries they have to give, right? So their speed will be very high, my speed will be very low. That is why it was difficult for me to log in that information. Okay, but hospital they are having separate login, so they can add directly. That is the thing, because they cannot change the complete code properly, but they have given the flexibility to change. See, if any mistake it is happening in filling your examination form also, before you have given submit and everything, but still you can change through the exam section, for which you have to have the separate user login and password, by which you can able to add it, right? So that is what you have to understand here, what is happening. Now here what you are learning is that what values is there, what it will support, that we are observing, not other things. Okay, so that is what an example which is given for the frame format. So see HARQ and you see reference signal, right? And CKQ, because here everything it should be given. So one resource is there, he has done his work, so that intimation it will come to me, right? As we do in the examination also, those who are completed, they will inform me, they will tell that sir we have done, we have uploaded everything, we will leave. So we have to give an acknowledgement to that one. So who is that source person, how you are going to do, right? For port value which is will be there. So you observe here 1A, 1A and 1B, right? 2A and 2B. Now you observe that for 1A, so this all features is for 1, this resource allocation is for 1A and this allocation is for 1B. And this part, it will be repeated over a period of time. Right? So why this all it will be there? Because it will be continuously transmitting. Now this is a channel free, so it will take data, it will do modulation and everything, it will reach to the destination. So here it may read only one packet, but still there are n number of packets which are in the pipeline. Right, so that is how he is going to do, and continuously you are transmitting this data, so it will consume more power. Okay, but what about here 2A and 2B? It will wait for some amount of time. It is check all the required information, it is present or not, and then he will be in a position to identify and he will be able to transmit. So there is a difference between these two. Obviously the power consumption, the cost and other things also, it will vary, right? Few of them it will support, few of them it will not support. Example, I want to send a message through WhatsApp. So when I want to send a message through WhatsApp, definitely internet and 3G 4G facility should be there for your mobile phone, right? And GPS settings should be there for your device, then only you are able to transmit. If I take old mobile phone where there is no GPRS, no GPS, no WhatsApp connection, then what happens? You are not able to transmit that data. So that particular 2A and 2B is speaking with respect to those contents. Okay. Resource mapping of a sounding reference for FDD, for TDE, for sub-BB, what is the values, how it is there is just highlighted here, right? So again, so sending reference signal at what values, at which presentation value. So this you can see what is the pre-emblem format. So there is a sequence, there is a code prefix, and there is a guard type which you are going to observe. So that is what we were doing, right? So you are having messages like a sine wave, right? This is the time domain. Now frequency domain, if I want to have, so I am having a carrier wave, I am having a upper frequency wave, and I am having a lower frequency band. right? And this is the guard type which I will be having, and this is the sequence which is present for the frequency band. Okay, so always remember it is with respect to the binary value. Now you observe it is only the amplitude, is it not? Similarly it will be there for your negative frequency also, right? So here what he is trying to tell is that random access channel, so guard time, sequence value and your code prefix. So how much time you are going to allocate, what length it should be there, so that he is highlighting in this part. So this random access channel, so we will be discussing in tomorrow's session. Okay. So earlier this part was all with respect to the shared channel uplink control part. Now 8.5 we have to discuss about the random access channel. What is its type? What is the value? Transmission sequence value? What is the different preemblem which is available? And this random access part we will be discussing in the next session. Okay. So already it is 11:40. So we will stop till now this one, and we will continue random access channel in the next session. Okay. Why the strength is very less? Usually it will be 50 plus. When you have seminar presentation, when you have seminar presentation, technical seminar, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಬ್ಸೆಂಟಾ ಯಾವಾಗಿದೆ